Yeah, to check out more episodes of the Rap Radar Podcast, what they got to do, B-Dot?
It's easy. Sign up at TIDAL.com/on-air for your 3-month complimentary membership.
Yo, man, you'll get access to over 48 million songs, tons of videos, exclusive concert live streams, and so much more, man.
Yep.
What's the address again, B-Dot?
TIDAL.com/on-air.
Yeah. Yeah, Rap Radar Podcast, Elliot Wilson.
It's B-Dot.
B-Dot, we got the legend, man.
It's a GOAT.
DJ Premier up in the building. Preemo, what's up, man?
Premier.
We've been waiting on this for a while, right?
I'm saying we can do the same time, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how I get, man. It's like, who's the hot cat out here? Who's the hot new cat?
You would text me on my old BlackBerry, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, how about this week? And I'm like, let me check. How about this week? Let me check.
Let me let you know why now is the perfect time.
Why is that?
I seen that Ferg joint, man.
Oh, thank you.
I fanboyed out, man.
Then you sent it to me. He was like, yo, shit's hard.
Thank you, man. It's still in the same path I've been on, you know.
Yeah. Well, how did that come together with Ferg, man? It just feels like, it doesn't feel nostalgic, though, I'm saying. It feels like you found a way to keep your sound in tradition, but it feels 2017.
Yeah. Just keeping the same road that I've always been on, and I was on tour with one of my artists named Tori Wolf. She's a singer-songwriter from Long Island. Yeah. We just dropped her album called Flow Riot. I have 2 labels now, Year Round, which keeps all my street stuff, which houses just, MC8.
We get our mogul on. We get our mogul on.
Yeah, no doubt. And then NYG's on that label. And then, of course, Black Poet came through there, my compilation album. And then we're doing the MC8 album is out right now. Came out June 30th, and Which Way Is West? Shout to him. And then TTT is my new label with my manager. My current manager it stands for To the Top. Yeah, and that houses just anything outside of my raw gutter. So I was on tour with her, just kind of getting her warmed up before our album dropped. And Patrick Moxie, my manager, my former manager from 1988. To 2003 for our whole Gangstar career. Yes, sir. Saw I was in Paris and was like, yo, I want to have a meeting with you. Came by the hotel and he was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting Payday back. I was like, really?
Records, baby.
Because when we dropped the Owners album in 2003, he said that he's done with hip hop and he started Ultra Records and he blew up and got very successful with old Ultra Records, still successful. And he said, I'm leaving rap alone. So I was like, all right. And that's when I started looking for other management. Shout to Fat Gary, who was one of the employees for him and Sarah Honda were employees for Patrick. Yes. And and they already had the experience of working with us with Gangstar. I was like, Gary, why don't you manage me until I get to a level of finding another manager to take over? And that's what he did. And he's still part of our team. Oh. But Ian is now my manager. And when he brought it up to us, he said, how about we do a 4-single deal where you kind of help me relaunch it like we did with Jay with the Damager?
Oh, so Ferg is one of those singles for the Payday relaunch?
Well, what it is Payday is now distributed through Sony. So he said, can you take a look at the Sony roster and see who you wanted to work with that could set it off? And I wanted 3 stacks, Andre 3000. So
Jack's for Unicorn while you at it,
Oh, yeah. And so when I looked at it, and I saw Ferg on there, me and Ferg have been running to each other everywhere. Tokyo, just on the humble. I see him in Tokyo.
He works like you.
And we're on the same flight going home. It's like I'm another flight, and we're always in first class together. And we happen to be in the same next to each other. It's like maybe they put the blacks together and kept us away from the whites, but he happens to be in the other seat. Right. And we're on totally different missions. And we always just talked about maybe doing something down the line. And then when I saw him on the roster being at 3000 wasn't available at the time I wanted to get him, I said, Ferg is cool, but I changed my number and he changed his. The day that I'm figuring out who could I call that could get in touch with Ferg, Alchemist hits me and goes, hey, Ferg's looking for you. Wow. And with no relation to the record. Yeah. Just like, yo, Ferg's looking for you. I was
he
like,
got excited. He just followed through.
Yeah, and he was just wanting to hit me up about just working together. It had nothing to do with him knowing about the record I wanted to do. Yeah. So I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. So Al gave me his number. I called him and said, here's my new number. I said, by the way, I'm doing this project. I know you just released yours, but I want to do it for my project.
He just has album out currently. I was wondering why it's such a big look outside of it. Right.
So that was just by coincidence that it all fell together like that. And then he came by, and because he's touring real heavy right now. So at that time, I think he was on Future's tour at the time. Opening up for him.
Nobody's Safe tour. Yeah.
Next thing you know, we did it in a day. He said, don't do what Trap Lord, don't do anything like what I'm doing now with New Level, none of that. He said, do regular Preem. So I was like,
shot the video too. It has an style.
Yeah. That was last minute. He's on the road. I'm busy mixing, and it was either do it after Thanksgiving or do it right now. And they were like, "Can you come at 6:30 in the morning to Harlem?" And I'm like, "No, man. All right, I'm there." Right. Yeah, I had just got home at 5:30.
Oh my God!
I was like, "What's the concept?" And they showed us the concept, and I was like, "Yeah, all right."
I'm seeing do-rags, Fila suits, BMWs.
I knew I had an old Fila suit in the back.
That's
in my
official?
closet. Yeah, that's mine. And he showed. And when I got there, he goes, "Yo, look at this picture from Beach Street when they were breaking with the gray hoodies and the red pants with the white stripes. He got his man to literally make him that outfit right then and there and bring it to him right before the video shoot."
Wow.
Yeah, so even that was last minute, but he got it from Beach Street. So with Rocksteady crew was battling. So
you said you took it back to the 90s when my free 60s was spinning.
Yeah, guy. Now my hair, I have no hair, man. You know, I'm about to just go bald, and I'm gonna start shaving it off. You know, if I had that, I'd be happy. You know,
I'm trying, Preem. I'm trying.
B-Dot, you still got yours a little bit.
We hanging in there.
When I saw you at SOBs that night, I think you had a little more hair, but
Where's the do-rag? He keeps the do-rag going.
Do-rag, coconut oil, some pink lotion.
And
baby.
being that they've been rocking the do-rags and a lot of his hanging out on Instagram and all that, I've been seeing him do that. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I got a bunch of do-rags still stashed away.
But y'all did the OG pole, the slap.
I did that to take the picture. And Ferg was like, yo, we should do a verse like that. So we have a verse where we just stay frozen while he's rapping. We're just frozen like this.
Really?
And just our lips are moving. Then he said, next one, fist bumping. We do fist bumping. We stand there like this. And
so
then,
he must have been amped. He's living like a hip-hop
it was
fantasy,
fun.
right?
And then everybody started seeing that we're out on the block. And then that started bringing more and more people. Were like, yo, if y'all gonna, and they kept interrupting. Like, if you want to be in the video, sign a release, and we'll put you in the video. So we started putting babies with their grandfathers and all type. We haven't seen the edit yet, but I mean, it should be coming any day.
He was right.
Yeah. So and then I wanted to do a hook after he left. That and you know, most of the slang that's out now is turn up, pull up, it's lit, you know, stuff like that. And when I heard the skit called Uncle Psycho on his album, I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna just use all of his skit and turn it into a hook. And that's where the whole check it, pull up is all from his skit. Yeah. And I just rearranged it and scratched it. He didn't even know I did that until I sent it to him.
It's so ill about your scratches. Your scratches like have been your own thing now. That like it's funny when you see certain records. Like I think it was the Khaled record, hip hop, the Kanye record, everything I am. Right. Your credit is a featured guest, but it's really for the scratches.
Yeah. Well, Kanye, he told me exactly what to cut, and he called me 5 a.m. like, I know you're up. You're always up late, which I am. And he's like, I know you're up. You at the lab? I was like, yeah. He said, yo, can you scratch this record real quick? Sent it over to me. And then when Kanye sends stuff, it goes, DJ Premier copy through the whole song.
Like,
so
I'm
like, yo, that's annoying. Can you send me one with straight? He's like, yo, I got to protect my records, and that's how I protect it. So the whole time I was going, DJ Premier copy for, 3 minutes long and stuff. So I just had to act like it didn't exist and just do the scratches on top of that, send it back to him. And
but being such a student of the game, it must bug you out that like you are that, like you have respect obviously for the forefathers of DJing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like that's not your pedigree actually is more of a producer, I would assume, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you set that blueprint of like what it is to scratch on records and
from watching Mixmaster Ice from UTFO, Jam Master J, hearing all the Terminator X stuff and Howie T, Mantronics, just hearing them scratch on records.
How do you remember everything? You be killing me. Like you remember
DJs remember a lot of lyrics because a lot of lyrics we look for battle lines.
Okay.
So we look for lines that say like I'll tear you up or you ain't as nice as me. So
what was Bust Your Shit? Gangsta, BYS.
Oh, that's from Marley Marl, Tragedy. Shout to Trag.
On the In Control album? Really?
Yo, I'm here to bust your shit.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
Bust your shit.
Yo, I'm here to I'm here to bust your shit.
You remember everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you've indulged in some things in the 90s. We had a good time, but how do you remember? How do you retain memory about everything?
I wonder too. My father has a very good memory. Like big time. He's 88. Shout out to my pops. Wow. He has a very good memory, and I'm just. I remember Jay-Z was like, "Yo, I'm gonna call you Memory Man," because he said you remember everything. I remember Jay saw me on the Holy Grail tour in Paris, and they hooked me up with passes to come back. I was there for another gig, and I said it's a long shot to go now because it's the night of the show. We didn't know he was in town, and reached out when he had his other management with him, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll leave you passes," and I got to holler at him afterwards, him and Timberland, and. I remember I had my tour manager with me, and he goes back there and he goes, "I bet you ain't got nothing to remember this time." And I go, and I introduce. He wants to introduce himself to my tour manager Keebler, and he goes, "What's up, man, Jay-Z?" And he goes, "What?" He's saying, "You ain't got one this time." I say, "Yes, I do." You've met Keebler before. He goes. When I said, remember when Lupe Fiasco was at Baseline auditioning for you? Wow. And he goes, and the CD skipped, and when the CD skipped, Lupe Fiasco, you know how CD skips and goes da 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 da. Lupe's rapping going da 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 da, and when it skipped, he goes da 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 da. He started skipping with it, and then the record for some reason it went back on beat, and Lupe went back to rapping. He was like, I remember that. So I was like, well, he was with me that day. Yeah, so I was like, "There's another memory."
But I always want to know when you do your scratch, your signature style, like how do you know what vocals to extract? It becomes like almost.
Sometimes it's experimenting and just seeing if it could work from something I might remember. Sometimes I call it force fitting it. Yeah, that's what I call it, force fitting, where it might have drums and other noise in it that may clash with the drums or whatever sample, and I'll be like, damn, it doesn't fit, but I'll do my best to force it or take a little low end out, and if it doesn't fit, then I just gotta look for another line. But if it seems like it's still a clash right, I'll go with it. But a lot of times it's just from either something somebody says or a title. So if they say something in the line, like, oh, he said that. Same thing with Our Streets. She goes, see, this is Harlem, these are our streets. I was like, our streets.
And there was no adjustment for you with going from the vinyl to the Serato? Like, what was that?
Oh, it was a big adjustment. I had to get Jazzy J of Zulu Nation. Shout to Jazzy J. He's the one that set mine up for me because he was one of the first on it. He was
not Jazzy Jeff or Jazzy
No,
J?
Jazzy J. And then Jazzy Jeff was the one I was doing gigs with, and he's like, Preem, you got to get on this. And I watched him do it. Yeah. Then I saw DJ Scratch do it, and they were like, Preem, I know you're against it, but you got to understand this is like a reward to you for carrying amps and speakers and crates and everything upstairs. And when the party's over, ain't nobody around, but you walked in with 20 people helping you. When the party's over, it's only three.
Already drunk. They love some shorties.
Yeah, so he was like, yo, this is for all your hard work. This is your reward. So I eventually got into it. I was making all the excuses on stage. Hey, I'm going to get it right because I was so sloppy and forgetting that you don't take the record off.
You don't have the vinyl feeling of it.
Yeah.
So what's been adjustment?
Yeah, it was a big adjustment. But once, now I'm creating stuff on the fly, coming up with stuff going, oh, I'm going to remember that and I'm going to save that. Now I'm nice with it, but it took a minute just to give in because the vinyl way is how we learned. So I want to stick to tradition.
Are you still creating beats on the spot with the artist?
Yeah.
So even with the Ferg record, you created that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't really like people to watch me do it, but I was like, he's like, can I watch? I was like, yeah, just don't film it.
How long does it take you to make a record?
It varies. It could take 20 minutes. It could take an hour. It just varies. As long as nobody bothers me and I have a little vibe, to get me in the mood and all that, I'm good.
Do you remember, I guess, what's the fastest one that became like a real popular hit?
Unbelievable was quick.
Really?
Yeah, you said that one. Biggie just said, Preem, just loop Impeach anything, because Impeach is a famous breakbeat, Impeach president.
Yeah, I just didn't have time because they were already done with Ray Dice. I got to get one Preem joint. I was like, yeah, but I don't even have nothing to come up with. And that's when he's like, I don't care. He said, do them little short sounds you do, which we call stabs. So that's why it's just bum, bum, bum. I just took one note and just tuned it on different pads. So it's dun, 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 dun. And once you just dance it around, it came out right. So yeah,
was that the last record? Because you got that rep of having like the last record on these albums.
Yeah. I'm the last record guy. Yeah, I'm the last record guy, and I don't take forever no more. I used to take forever. Jay will tell you. He takes too long to get it done. But I'm in a different road now where I'm one a day, sometimes 3 a day.
What was it back then? I mean, obviously you already have a historic catalog.
Having other things I had to do. You know, if I got to do this, that, and the third, and 12 other things, I always feel like I got to do that, and then get to the music. Because with the music, I just like to lock in. When I can lock in, I'm
close
there.
The world out.
Yeah. And if I got other personal stuff to take care of, that's what's got to happen. But I wasn't a father then. Yeah. Now that I'm a father, you got to map it all out. You know, so it's even better. But that's better for me that I had a kid later than you know the running around days. I would not have been a deadbeat dad, but I definitely would have still been out there just hanging. I mean, because we were 20. I was 22. Yeah. When we got our deal. So, you know, when you're 22 years old and we were successful with Manifest and all of that stuff, we were into the whole groupie thing and we were really living it.
Right.
We were really living it. So
what you want this time? The next girl?
Yeah. all of that is really real. And even every girl in our videos were his exes or the girl that he's
Guru
with
used
at that
to
time.
put his real girlfriend at the time in the music videos. It's cheaper.
Yeah. Be that, you know. Yeah.
What is it with the Gangstar thing, man? Like, you know, my wife's like the biggest Gangstar fan on the planet. Like, you know, talk about that era of like you and Guru. Like, and then once you guys connected, it seemed like once Memphis is off, you started making these full-fledged albums, like, and this is the album era, and like just sort of took things to another level. Like, what was it? Why did it work so well? Do you think your chemistry with him in the very beginning?
I think part of us from both being out of town, wanting to get New York acceptance was one. You know, he wanted to get accepted. I know he's East Coast from being from Boston, but you know, we still wanted New York to say we were hot. And at that time, that's the only cosign that you could receive to really certify you. When we were coming up, now, you know, you can be regional and be hot in Texas, be hot in Atlanta, be hot in Mississippi, be hot in LA, be hot in Ohio, everywhere. And at our time, you had to get New York acceptance, and everybody wanted it. Even if you were like, man, fuck that, you know, that they ain't giving us no love, you still want that acceptance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I mean, you were there. You've seen that was really how it was. So
I remember the artists loving when we embraced the Chronic, when we embraced Doggy Style. Yeah. Those artists were very excited that New York was
what helped me was going to college, and I'm from Texas, so me going to college, that's how I learned about Too Short with Freaky Tales. That was the first one I heard from him, and E40 and you know, Mixmaster Spade and Toddy T and Egyptian Lover and all that stuff, because the DJ that taught me how to DJ, who's from Corpus Christi, Texas, also played all that stuff in the club, and he would let me learn in his dorm how to cut and all that and get nicer. So, and in school, you're going to get all those flavors. But then New York, it was still big. It was still big. Like, you know, Nobody Beats the Biz. I remember when that came out, everybody's into it. It's not like, oh, that's that New York stuff. It's like, man, this is hot.
Bro, nice.
Yeah. That and Mr. Big Stuff, Heavy D, you know, it's just anything New York. It was the only guide.
Yeah. What was it when putting together Step in the Arena? Because that was your first full length, because you was already becoming the group.
Second one, first major.
Yeah, No More Mr. Nice Guy.
No More Mr. Nice Guy. Me and Guru called that our resume, because if you even listen to the production on that, I wasn't tapping the beats out like that. That was really me, Guru, and our engineer doing it together. I was picking the records to loop, but we had an SP12 at that time. Me, Guru, and Slow-Mo Sonnenfeld at Such a Sound. We were all together like...
I'm saying, he got all the names, baby.
Yeah. Slow-Mo Sonnenfeld from Israel. Shout to his girlfriend, Freshie. Yeah. Shout to Freshie.
If people shout at your cousin and shit, yeah, you know, his cousin.
So we would go there, and that's how I met Yoram Bazan, which is how I met King of Chill. Yeah. Because he was
still works with you now, right?
Yeah. So... we were all together. Like if the three of us right now, we'd be side by side. I'll say, I'm gonna press this one and this one. You press that one, and I'll be like, okay, hit it right there. And we're doing that. Even on the board, we didn't have automation. So when we did Manifest Remix, and he said, "Stop, think for a moment, okay," and everything stops, we did about 20 takes of that. Because just stop, think for a moment, okay, and one little thing would come on and be like, "Damn it!" Bring it back, do it again. Stop. And we even like the for a moment, okay, boom, and we finally, I swear, at least 20 takes.
Where did you feel like you made it? Was it the Manifest record that you got acceptance, or?
I would say when we started doing Daily Operation, when I started being confident, like, yo, I could produce anybody. Yeah, 92. when we were working on that. When I did Take It Personal was actually the last beat I ever did on the SP1200, and then I went on it to the MPC. But that's why it's so dirty and just
it feels dusty.
It's just super dusty. So that was when I was like, yeah, I'm ready to. And that's when KRS-One called me and said, I got this new record. And I'm
he loves the KRS-One. He loves me that.
I have 5 battle rhymes for anybody.
There you go. He goes, I want to call it Return of the Boom Bap. Now it's going to be like one of the illest, like that's crazy.
So that's the one that brought you to outside production. Yeah. Well, Heavy D was first, actually, right?
Actually, the first one I ever produced on a major label major scale was first we would we couldn't get no work doing, cause my name wasn't out there yet. I was doing like Wendy and Lisa from Prince. I was doing their remixes. I was doing Loose Ends remixes, all European stuff. But Ice-T reached out to me and said, I want you to remix Lifestyles of the Rich and Infamous. And that's what started getting people to call, because Ice was really, really, that's from the original Gangsta album. And things just started coming. But Lord Finesse is really the first artist I produced outside of Gangstar, because he was our label mate.
What was it? Oh, Yes You May, right? Yes You.
This is Return. I mean, this is
first album.
Yeah, I'm about to say Return to Funky Man. That's the second one.
Funky Technician.
Funky Technician, because Guru used to listen to all the demos. So because it was Stu Fine and Amy Fine were a husband and wife operation, Guru used to always be at their house going through all the shoeboxes of demos. So that's how he heard my demo and he heard Lord Finesse's demo. So once they liked me and I signed, he said, yo, I want you to check out this other guy named Lord Finesse. He's dope. Tell me what you think. I think you should sign him. And when I heard it, I was like, yeah, Stu, it's dope.
That reminds me, how'd you get off Wild Pitch? Ooh. What can we say? It's been a long time, Preem.
Yeah. Those are my violent days, when I was a little bit more rowdy, but shout to Malachi the Nutcracker. But we just had a fallout that I actually thought would never happen, because Stu is a great person. We're cool now. We still call each other, check on each other. Everything's all love, but I wanted off the label. It was airtight. There was no way off.
Yeah, because Watch Professor had his issues with me. Source, and when he left.
It was way. I think mine was way more airtight than that, because they weren't even part of Wild Pitch yet. At that time, it was Lati, Gangstar, and Chill Rob G.
Yeah, and the founding artists.
And I remember when they were finally hiring an A&R, Jeff Sledge and one other guy were the two that we had to choose from. And we liked Jeff because I was in the sports and he was in the sports, and he was like, yeah, I hope I get the job. And I remember Stu was like, which one did you like? He was like, yo, we like Jeff. And then Jeff came along with us when we went to EMI. Well, the Chrysalis and EMI.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, but then as things got bigger, he went over to Jive. So,
you just had to force your way out.
But shout to Mark Levinson, my attorney, who's been with me since that day. He found a loophole in the contract and got us off. And
so it's corporate thugging too.
Yeah, Mark's a beast. Mark's a beast. And from there, what happened when we went to? Well, I also got to give Spike Lee and Branford Marcellus a big applause, because they're the ones that really got us over to a major. Because Spike Lee saw the Manifest video. He thought Guru looked like Malcolm X. That made him buy the album. He heard jazz music.
Yeah.
And he was working on Mo' Better Blues at the time. So he was like, man, this song is cool, but they're not mentioning a lot of jazz artists that should be mentioned. He said, there's a guy named Eric Eli who wrote a poem, but it doesn't rhyme. It's just more, some poems, I forgot what they call it when it doesn't rhyme. He's like, why don't y'all take this poem and see if you can make a record out of it? So Guru just looked at the poem, being it didn't rhyme, and did his own. If it's Charlie Mingus, he would say nuts, touch, nimble fingers, rocking the bass all over the place. He would just write that and then fill it all in. And then from there, next thing you knew, we had Jazz Thing with Branford. And then once that came out, then Duff Marlowe, who was A&R at Chrysalis, was like, yo, let's sign Gangstar. Wow. That's how we got signed to a major.
Staying in the Gangstar era, like, how hard was it to create these tracks when Guru's coming up with titles like Soliloquy of Chaos? And like, these are not normal title tracks.
He's so educated, man. I mean, he comes from a dope background with his father being with the first black judge in Boston, and he was bussed, which he didn't like at all, because he said, man, we were getting, the white kids were trying to start fights with us, and I was had to go home fighting my way home from school every day, and so he had this just big anger about him back then, but you know, his titles were always dope. I mean, even naming the albums, I didn't. He had me name Hard to Earn because he's like, "Yo, I named the first three. It's your turn," you know, and that's where that came from. But he always would put the titles on a piece of paper and stick it on the wall and say, "Yo, just make the music match these titles." That's crazy. Every album, that's how we did it.
And the biggest narrative I remember was, you know, as dope as Gangstar is, why haven't you guys gone gold yet, right? That was the whole journey we was on,
I
right?
never worried about it. He used to be like, all these motherfuckers that's part of our, that's on our level is going platinum and gold, and we supposed to do it too. Fuck that. Bang, break a glass, you know. And I'm like, yo, but we get the respect of everybody. Right. Fuck that. We supposed to be gold and platinum too. And so I was so happy for Guru when Moment of Truth went gold, because that's all he wanted was at least one gold album. And then the dope thing was Full Clip went gold right after that. And I remember it did it in like 28 days. And I remember when we had to go see our label in LA, and we were like, we just got through visiting them a couple months ago. They want to stop by, and they're like, just for a hot second, just they're in a conference, they just want you to stay. We were on the Rage Against the Machine tour. And we're like, all right, we'll stop by. We kind of wanted to hang out because we had a day off. We go over there, we knock on the door and say, hey, everybody, how y'all doing? All of a sudden, one guy stands up and starts going. And we're like, and then they all start, like in a movie. And we're like, what the hell? And we turn and they're walking in with our plaques. And we're like, oh shit, we went gold again. So now it's just like, and they had the Full Clip plaques, and we were just like, wow. And I remember Guru goes, 30 days later, the LP went gold. So what you're saying? And I'll never forget that, man. So so if it never even happened, I felt like Guru always said, we get platinum respect. And I was fine with that, but he was like, we got to get a plaque. We supposed to been had one. Everybody's getting 5 mics, and we supposed to have 5 mics.
But was it because you already had like solo success as a producer? I mean, you already had platinum and gold records on your own.
I agree with him. I think our records equaled out to a lot of records that were going gold and platinum at that time in the early 90s. But, we didn't have the same machine. A lot of them had a better machine, better promotion. We weren't getting a lot of radio promotions. It just was a different animal. Our budgets weren't big. We was getting $150,000 budgets to split, and I was like, we were cool with that. We had houses, cars, taking care of all of our friends, buying stuff for our parents, and we knew how to stretch it.
You think because you didn't go right away, that's probably why you started doing these outside stuff, because you started doing outside production?
No, I told him before I joined Gangstar, I said, yo, just be clear, I want to produce outside of the group. He said, no problem, as long as we're not busy, I'm fine with that. So
he did Jazzmatazz. That did really well, right?
Jazzmatazz was supposed to be my project, and I was like, you know what? This would be a good thing for him to do, because he always felt like it'll protect Gangstar from being put into this jazz rap box, because we felt like us three and stuff like that. Even Cool Like That from Diggable Planets, we didn't look at that as a jazz rap record, but we kind of wanted to still be in the more raw rap category, and everything was getting where it was calling us jazz rap, but we felt like jazz rap means you rap about jazz, and we weren't doing that. We were talking about just to get a rap and, stick up kids and,
because of the Spike Lee thing. Right. And then I guess you felt if he did the Jazzmatazz alone, that would show that that's the side of that, but that's not what Gangstar music is.
Nah, like he said, Gangstar represents 3 things: street knowledge, spirituality, and intellect. And he said that's our survival package. So that's really how we was living it.
And you said the Hard to Earn album was like an answer to that, to the critics, right?
Hard to Earn was more, I wanted to strip everything down to show I can use any sound besides jazz samples, because they were just saying that that's all we use. And I was like, you know what? I'm stripping this one down. That's why I started coming with the weird spaceship sounds and just weird stuff, and still making a beat out of it,
right? To
show that it doesn't matter what it is, we can flip anything.
I'm a little bit younger, so I'm kind of like a student in the game right now. 32.
Oh damn, damn, yeah, you missed a lot,
right? But
were you outside?
I was outside, a very short leash. But
what time was your curfew?
The light came on yet? As soon as the Firefly started to flicker.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But,
all right.
What I wanted to know is that, because I always like Guru's style, the flow, right. His flow is very conversational. I see a lot of it in his DNA in the artist today. Was Guru's flow ever like a thing that people kind of talked about? Was it ever
I mean, just me as a fan of,
or even you, Elliot, as a critic too.
I feel like he never really got his credits as much as he could have. Yeah,
you know, he was always recognized by the the Q-Tips and the Rakims of the world and all that stuff. I mean, I remember the day we saw Rakim, which he was always very, he's like a UFO sighting. Like, yo, I'm telling you, I saw him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you didn't. It's like, yes, I did. And my manager actually was one of the owners of the Powerhouse back then. And we used to go in there 100 deep every top of the week. We go in there, we see Rakim. This is when Let the Rhythm Hit Him was coming out. He was by the bar, and the whole paid in full posse was around him, and we were just like, there he go. And I remember it seemed like something just got his attention to let him know that we were standing there staring at him. And he looked and said, "Gangstar, yo, I love y'all. My boys, come over here." And we're just like... You know what I'm saying? Like us.
Frozen like us?
Yeah, man. That's Rakim.
Like respected by the peers.
And he was like, yo, man, we got to do something together. Next thing you know, they invited us to open up for the Easter Jam at the Apollo with us and Yo-Yo. And the year after that, they invited us again. Wow. I've been seeing the flyer post. Some people have been posting on Instagram. But it's just dope, like, to be invited by them. Actually, we got invited when in 89, 90, because that's when Main Source dropped Breaking Atoms and Nas and Akinelli. We met them at the show. So that was the first one. But
it's also because Premier is a perfect MC producer combo, right? Like if you love Premier's beats, you almost didn't give Guru his full credit because the beats were amazing. But his voice was the perfect match for those beats. Like,
well, he called me a beat tailor because I know how to tailor the track to the voice. I'm into voices, so that's one of my main things because I was into punk rock music and I was really into heavy, just metal and hard rock. So I was really into that too during my high school and college days. So all of that, including Prince. I was heavy Prince. Like when I met Prince with D'Angelo, I told him, like, dude, I guarantee you I know more about you than you know about yourself. I'm a Prince fanatic.
You remember those B-sides?
Yeah, dude. And that's where I got that from. B-sides from Prince and Public Enemy was doing it. Just a lot of artists were making B-sides. So all that came from studying, just as a fan.
Oh, like, because they would do exclusive, like Question Remains and all these type of dope records that weren't on the album, but exclusive B-sides.
Purposely, because that's what I see Prince do it all the time. He'd always have a B-side that went on the album, 17 Days and God and Hello and She's Always in My Hair. And I was like, damn, he always has one that's, it's like you can expect it. And I wanted the same thing to be like that for Gangstar.
It's always funny too, because like when I listen to you, you're one of the greatest producers of all time, that goes without saying. But I've always loved your production because it sounds like conversational music. Like, even this interview, I feel like it's supposed to have like a Preemo track behind, like Above the Clouds or something like that. Like, is that always been the goal? Like, Ellie, I know you're a big instrumental guy, and we used to work together at XXL. You used to loop a lot of his production just for background music.
It's just a foundation. I mean,
I just like. I mean, I'm always into the beat before the MC because I think if the beat got you open, the MC got to kill it. Because I already want to be going. You got to make the face.
That's how I do. Like when I listen to your music, it sounds like I take a shot of wheatgrass. Like it's just, my face is just.
Well, let's speak of one album that gets acclaimed though, where obviously, and no disrespect, because I love them, but they weren't like the super lyrical, skillful MCs. Group Home.
Yeah.
But that album is an amazing album, and it's almost like you're the third member of the group in that sense. Like, talk about putting that record together where you didn't necessarily have to have the most lyrical miracle MCs, but still make dope hip hop music. So what was your whole approach making that hopeful project?
Guru was like, yo, let's start Gangstar Productions and let's get some artists under our stable. Jay was already hanging with us on the reg. He was we were together 24/7. Dap, he was Kiwi at that time. He probably be mad that I said that, but he was Kiwi. Yo, here come Kiwi. Yo, Kiwi, come here. That was his nickname, was Kiwi. And so when he would come up, it'd be him and J. Rue. And Suge was in jail at the time, so being he was doing a bid, he had already told me that Suge is the founder along with him. They started Gangstar. Along with Suge's brother, Suave D. So while Suge was in the can, we were like, when he comes home, he said, we signed 3 groups each. He said, you sign 3 and I'll sign 3. I didn't really know anybody to sign. So I said, let's start with your 3. And he said, who's it going to be? He said, J. Rue, Suge, and Group Home. Because Dap, I remember Dap, we used to all carry guns back then, like heavy. And I mean, literally, when we were living at Branford Marcellus's old brownstone in Brooklyn, and I remember first, and then I moved to the Bronx. Well, before we moved, I was living in East New York, Brooklyn. Then from there, I moved to the Bronx, 183rd. That's how I met Panchi and Malachi and Smiley, the Ghetto Child, and we became friends. Then I moved back to Brooklyn, to Branford's, and then that's how that was the crazy chapter, because our house was like a frat house every day. Every day it was like a frat house. We can go on tour for a month, come back, and there's 30 people in the house. And we wouldn't be like, yo, get out. It'd be like, yo, what's up, y'all? We back. And it could be, and everything's going on in that house. Everything. Whatever you think is going on is going on. And we used to always have guns and stuff. And I remember Dap was like, don't mess with me, because Lil Dap will do you. And that's where Lil Dap came from. Because he would always say, "Get Lil Dap will do you." And I thought about the Brill cream, because my father used to use that when he was young. And they said, Lil Dap will do you. Yeah. So I knew that line from that. And I was like, and then one day they went in the studio, and the so-called Friends beat was on. and Branford had left a drum set there. Excuse me. And he left a drum set. And I knew how to play drums because Travis Scott's dad was one of my OGs when I was a kid in Texas. Oh, wow. So, I mean, obviously Travis was non-existent yet because his father wasn't even married back then. But his father put me on that. I used to ride mini bikes, and I was into motorcycles real heavy, into dirt bikes, and his father's taught me how to ride.
Scott's dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, shout to Jack and shout to his brother Travis, who's his brother. Yes, Jack and Travis and Sonora. Shout to VV. So, their mom was my English teacher, and she's one of the flyest people in my neighborhood to this day, wow. Miss Webster, man. And rest in peace to her husband who passed, who plays cards with my father. They play cards every Thursday. Wow. Still, you know what I'm saying? Even in their 80s. Strong. Yeah, he just passed recently, so shout to him. But they were the first to have everything in our neighborhood. They were the first ones with a pool table, first ones with a VCR. I was like, damn, they can record Soul Train and play. I used to be able to just come over and watch Soul Train because, that's when Soul Train was afros and dashikis and just straight right on Soul Brother platform shoes. So I was like, wow, y'all have every episode of Soul Train. And we'd go over there and hang out all the time, so that was like one of the hangout spots. And then as I got older, like a teenager, Jack and Travis was always playing drums and bass in the house, and they taught me how to play drums and bass. So Travis taught me how to play, which is Travis Scott's uncle. Yeah. Travis taught me bass, and Jack taught me drums. So that's why I really got into that. That's a lot that has something to do with my production style to this day. Is all of that.
You said Dap talking that mess in the apartment. Yeah. He was like, maybe he could put a record together.
Yeah. So we had a drum set. And I used to play on the drums, and Dad was like, teach me how to do that. So it's just regular boom, just that regular type of rhythm. And we would start battling and bugging out, and everybody just started freestyling. And then one day, Dap did a little like, yo, my name is Lil Dap. We were like, oh, you rapping? But just amongst us, not really for the public, just bugging out, because he would never rap. And then Guru was like, yo, man, I think I could do something with them if they could just, channel them right. And then they said, yo, check this out. And they played me So-Called Friends like maybe a couple weeks later. And I was like, yo, they sound all right. And then that's how it transpired when Patrick was like, yo, if you do it, I'll put it out. But you got to produce it. And I was like, all right. And I was like, Goo, let me produce it. I can definitely make it happen.
Was it a lot of takes? Was it
a lot of takes? Almost like Eazy-E and NWA, but Dap wrote his own lines, and he'd always go yeah, holla, and then he'd find his spot, but he would get it done. Mm-hmm. He would get it done, and then Mel didn't really want to rap at all. He wanted to be a boxer, and at that time he had the physique, but. He kept getting into trouble. He kept getting gun charges. I went through 2 years of going to court on his behalf because he was underage, and he was under 16. He had already had 2 gun charges within a month. So the judge, shout to Judge Bamberger, she's the one that actually forced him to do the record because he didn't want to do it. He's like, I don't want to do no record. I want to box. And I was like, yeah, but
we'll put you in the box.
And we told the judge, I was like, Your Honor, like. being that he can make money from boxing, isn't that considered a positive thing to keep him out of trouble if he can make it as a profession? She's like, no, because he has two violent offenses, and that's a violent sport. And she said, but I know you can. She said, I know one thing. Do you know the word remand? I remember like she said that, and she goes, either I remand him right now, put him back in jail. She goes, you're in the music business, make him make a record. And that's exactly how it happened.
They forced
Judge Bamberger. Up in the Bronx, where the people are fresh, and he would never. He would always hide. Like I don't want to come.
He was late to the studio sessions.
I don't want to come. I don't want to come. I had to drag him there, and then so what you got. You know what I'm saying? But they look dope together.
But did you challenge yourself to feel like you had to like make?
Yeah, I knew I had to give them like the most top-notch stuff to bring them out to where it made them more efficient and acceptable. You know, they had to look. I mean, Dap had already spit on I'm the Man on Daily Operation, but Mel hadn't. And until we did a Hard to Earn, he did Worse Than the Nutcracker. Yeah, and he wrote that on his own. So I was like, wow, you sound good. So that's why I was like, the first single has to really pop. And Superstar. I mean, it's like you know what it should sound like, but you're just hoping it works, and it worked.
Another underrated masterpiece is J. Rue's first album to me, The Sun Rises in the East.
Well, J. Rue, when Guru said, "Yo, J. Rue's the most ready. You should start with him." You know, like Guru always knew what should work, and I me too. I know who's ready, and I was like, yeah, J. Rue's first. All his demos were decent enough to where I was like. He's got the big loud mouth. He's confident. He's very confident. I mean, when we would go to parties all the time, and J. Rue he was really heavy back then. And he'd be like going up to girls like, "Yo, what's up, baby? My name is Porky the Pimp. You know what I'm saying? You want a date?" You know, like just like that. Yo, they call me the Fat Mac, and that's why on Take Two and Pass he goes, "Hey, there goes my man, the Fat Mac," because he's talking about J. Rue. You know.
Wow. But when Come Clean came out, that was like an instant, like, holy shit, this is a new sound. Like, this is dope.
I remember LL Cool J was at my crib, which Chris Lighty, rest in peace, when I made that record, because he was coming to get some beats. And and I was messing around, but we never got nothing going. But
But you had made Come Clean, or you played it for him? Or?
Yeah.
He just was blown away?
Yeah, he was like, yo, that's a hot record. And then boom, it just took off immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about following up Nas? Because you obviously did work on Illmatic. Then here's it is written. We had Steve Stout here, and Ellie was talking about how there was a lot of pressure. Like, how do you follow up, Illmatic? And you did one of the best Nas songs of all time. I Gave You Power. Like, did you feel that pressure?
No, because I mean, now that I'm really into my element of what being a producer and a DJ and an artist. Now I really am the same way now. It's like, yo, if I'm into you, I know I'm gonna pull off a banger. Like that's just my attitude, and that's my fan part of me. As a fan, I'm like, this is what I want to hear if I was a person buying your record. That's really my approach now. I make stuff that I would buy. That's pretty much what it is.
I was saying during that time, though, like Stout was in the presence to sort of make Nas more commercial, and there was backlash to some part of the community. You know what I'm saying about that change? Like, do you feel like your role in that record was to kind of give that kind of pure Nas banger that, like, for the
before I Gave You Power?
Yeah,
that one he told me what he wanted. He said, "I want to do a record where I'm a gun." So that one we had no concept. He said that's what he wanted to call it because it was called Gun. And the label didn't want to call it Gun. Yeah. So that's why when he said, "I Gave You Power" in the line, we changed it to that. They were like, yeah, we don't want to call it Gun. Because at that time, everybody was really anti-guns and videos, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it makes sense. But again, they were like, nah, we don't want to call it Gun. But that's what, even the disc, I found it the other day, and it still says Gun.
Wow.
Yeah, it says Gun, and then "I Gave You Power" in little letters. But yeah, he said that's what I want to do.
When you heard that record, what was going through your mind? Like,
man, we were just like, this dude is crazy, man.
Wow.
Just watching him record it, not knowing what he's writing, because Nas sits at the front of the desk like the way Jay does. He sits at the front of the desk and he covers his mouth and starts, all you hear, no, and we just like, well, damn, wonder what he's saying. Just we're gonna know soon. And all of a sudden he goes in the booth, and I remember he did the first verse, the same day like he did New York State of Mind, did the whole verse in one take, and he goes, yo, how was that? Almost like he's scared to come out the door. Yo, how was that? And we're like, what? This is crazy. All right, I'm going to write another verse.
But even going back, you saying in New York State of Mind, you said like when he did that, he had 20 guys in the booth with him. Like, that's hard to imagine. Like one of the most iconic rap records.
Yeah.
This MC got his boys all in the booth with him at the same time.
That's why we shout to Grand Wiz from Bravehearts. That's why you hear him be like, "Yo, Black, it's time." Like they're all gathered around the mic, just around the moment. And you know what I'm saying? Because he literally just wrote it and said, let me test it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
But another great one, Nas is Like, right? You never talk about Nas is Like.
That's man. I think if I check my iTunes, it has the most plays. That's my favorite.
That one,
record.
I gave him the concept. I already had just a little birds chirping and just a beat. I didn't have the sample yet, and I had the Nas is Like. That's all I had, but. I was like, it's going somewhere, and I called Nas and said, "Yo, you want to meet me tonight?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he met me. That's when I had a house in Long Island at the time, and I was in the basement, and it was the place where I could never get the vibe to create. For some reason, I just had that part rolling, and I was like, "Yo, meet me today. I got something. I'll find the rest of it." And then when I got down there, I told him the concept roughly, and then when he heard it, he was like.
So he just followed your concept.
Yep, and then I remember he was like, "Yo, this is gonna be my first single. I'm gonna do a video." And I was like, "Wow," because I never had singles. They were always cuts on the album, but I was like, "Damn, I get a Nas single," and that's when he said, "Yo, meet me in the bridge. We're gonna shoot it in the bridge."
Right. Whose house was that? Apartment?
That one was a friend of his apartment because the one that he really lived in, something happened where they couldn't get into that day. So. It was I think across all from the apartment that he really did live in.
I love that instrumental. Just sounds like when you go to heaven, like that's what they play. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man.
But you remember during the rock battle with him, a lot of cats was freestyling over that beat. A lot of radio when you was on the radio, a lot of cats rhyme over that instrumental.
Like instrumental.
Yeah,
man. No, that's a beautiful thing. No, that was the first time I had a concept and brought it. Everything else. Nas would sit there and watch me just thumb through records and just look for stuff until he heard something that goes, "Oh," he said, and I'd wind it back and be like, "Yo, you like that?" And be like, "Yeah." Hook it up, boom.
A record like that, and I think what's the other record I love? Royalty. Like even though they're different, but they have the same kind of feel to them. Like those are like my favorite ones from you.
That one we already knew we wanted Casey and JoJo on it because it was on the list. So. When we reached out to them to see if they would do a record with us, they said, "Don't do a commercial song." They said, "Do a Gangstar beat, and we'll write to a Gangstar beat." And I thought that was dope because they're like, "Yo, most people get us to do a guest appearance. They want us to sing a previous hook, like it might be "Do I Do" from Stevie, but they might change it to something else. But it'll be dun dun dun." And even though we love that record. They said, "No, we want to write a hook to a Gangstar track." So I made it the way I just envisioned them being on it. And I remember when we called them to see how's it coming because they were on tour. They were like, "Oh man, I'm gonna do my Bobby Womack." Casey was like, "I'm gonna do my Bobby Womack on it." And then and JoJo sang the "Wherever I Go" over the phone, and we were like, "Ooh!" So we were just excited, and that's when you had to send the whole reel and ship it. And wait for it to arrive, and then the whole, now you can email everything, but that's how it came together.
And the video was fire too. We had shot in the subway.
Yeah, we shot in the train. Yeah, and we had the real Metro cars. Yeah.
You need to bring that back.
No, and we Ron Hightower, the porn star, was the director. So we were porn connected earlier.
You visited a convention or two back in the day, right?
We used to go all the time to the Venetian because shout out to Jules Jordan. He's hip hop and porn and sports. They're all the same family. You know what I'm saying? Strippers, all that. That's the same.
Everyone's
family.
Getting fucked in this business.
Yeah, it's the same family. It really is the same family. I mean, they like our music. We like them. Like with sports people like us, they play our music. We like sports. We play music and watch them play, and it's all relative. So anything entertainment. I mean, actors, same thing. There's a lot of actors I've met where they're like, "Yo, I love your music."
Yeah, wasn't somebody the Eagles? Some player had you use a recent football game, right?
Chris Long, Howie Long's son. Yeah.
Oh, he's Howie Long's son.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Howie Long. I met his dad, met his mom, met his wife. Shout out to Kyle Long, who's also a friend of mine. We met just from him posting a quote from Biggie over 10 Crack Commandments, and I just put I said thanks for the post, and he's like, "Yo, you're a legend, love your music," and I'm like, "Damn," saying let's DM each other, and we started kicking it from there. Like, "Yo, you get the ready, you want to come to the game? Let me know."
Wasn't with 10 Cracker Members? I know people know it was the Angie promo, and then Puff wanted it. But wasn't there also drama with Chuck D at first? Like Chuck didn't like his vocals being scratched on it.
I told Big, God bless him. I told Big before he passed. I said, Chuck's not gonna like this, and he goes, "I'll deal with Chuck. But then he passed, so that's why I was like, "Damn, now I'm gonna defend it now," because Big had a way of always convincing you to just let it go. He really it's big. He's just really that cool, man. So I remember, but I warned him. I said, "Yo, Chuck is not. He don't like it affiliated with sex, drugs." Liquor, nothing. And so I already knew when it was done for the promo, it's a promo for Angie for the Hot 5 at 9.
Yeah.
And that's why the Hot 5 at 9, back when she used to do the Hot 5 records at 9 o'clock, if you listen to the beat, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then the beat drops, and I just scratched the 5. I'm going 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, I don't go past that because it's the 5 records.
Yeah.
I was being creative, just on some turntable shit, and then next thing you know, when Big and Puff wanted it, I was like, well, he don't go to 10 on Shut 'Em Down. Where am I gonna get 10 from? And I remember, I just was like, yo, the when the rocket takes off, it goes T-minus 10, 9. I was like, 10. Yeah. And then I remember Keith Murray had that on his second album. He had a little interlude with the rocket taking off. I was like, yo, Keith Murray album has it at the beginning.
With Enigma?
Yeah. And it goes T-minus 10. I pulled that out and flew it in.
But how did we smooth it with Chuck? It just took time, business-wise?
It took time.
To get right?
We had I was a little upset because we were on a tour for Smoking Grooves with Cypress Hill, Wyclef, Cannabis. First time I ever met Black Eyed Peas. They were very, very new. Maya, the Busta Rhymes, the Flipmo Squad, Gangstar, which we brought MOP, Suge, and Freddie Fox with us, and 8 Stacks. And shout out to Stacks' mom, she just passed, so God bless her. And who else was on that tour? Cypress Hill. Alchemist was a roadie, you know what I'm saying? So we used to blaze every day, and just it was a fun tour. So I remember, me and Chuck talked about it on the tour, and it got to a point where he said, look, when we get home, I'm going to just dead the whole situation. I'm just dead it. I got home. All the numbers changed. I couldn't reach him. It got to a point where I remember when I saw the royalty check, the amount it was a big number too, and it had a big hold, in red, diagonal. There's a check this way, and there's a diagonal saying hold. Wow! I was like, "That's my money." So it didn't work out. We saw each other, and actually where his ex-wife used to live, and I used to live right around the corner from her in Long Island. So Chuck would be up that way a lot, and we saw each other at the store. I kind of lost my cool and had an attitude with him about it, and didn't see him anymore until Jam Master Jay passed. Wow. And then when Jam Master Jay passed, I went to the wake, and we were just leaving, and I felt somebody just touch me on my shoulder, and I turned around. It was Chuck, and he was like, yo, can I talk to you for a second? I was like, nah. I said, come here, brother. I said, I love you, man. I said, I'm sorry I did that, and I shouldn't have been. And I'm not talking about the sample part. I'm just saying, I'm sorry I snapped and lost my head with my attitude. Yeah, I said, it's all good. Wow. I said, so what's done is done, and we moved on from it.
Were there ever instances of other artists, like, getting offended or being mad about you using them? Just Chuck?
No,
and he used them.
But you know what? At least Chuck was honest. He said, yo, if it didn't have that content, I wouldn't have tripped. Wow. He said, I just don't want my he said, it looks like I'm helping instruct, because it's like number 2, and, it's like he's helping instruct the crack deal, and I respect that. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, I don't like that. So, and I knew that from like old interviews, just seeing him say, yo, I don't like my name affiliated with anything with that stuff. And he's always kept it that way from day one. That's Chuck. So I respect it. I remember Flav was really upset about it, but I was like, yo, we're all good now. Yeah, I love Chuck, man. That's my dude.
Yeah. The other record on the Kick in the Door, obviously people know that Biggie aired out J. Rules. So you made a record one day, they were offended. Yep. But did you know that your record was going to be the thing where not only he addressed J. Rue, but just everybody had a problem with
Nas,
it. Did you know that your record was going to be that record? Like, how did
you talking about One Day or Kicking the Door?
Kicking the Door.
Yeah, because...
did you know your record was going to be his big response to all the other New York rappers?
No, but, I stopped the tape a couple times. Like, hey, hold up. Who you getting at? Because Puff was the ringleader of that one. He was like, I remember he said, "Yeah, we coming after J. Rue the Damage of 2."
Playboy.
Yeah, but So, but one thing I like.
Oh, in the session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, they came deep that day because everybody knows Gang Starr. We had a reputation too of handling our business in the street, and I remember when that session happened. First of all, there was a little conflict because at the time Puff didn't like that track, and he told me he didn't like it. Now this is before Big told me he wants to still record it. It was the same day our Ready to Die plaques were ready, and they told us to come pick them up. So I went to Bad Boy to pick up my plaque. I'm all excited, like, woo, got my Ready to Die plaque. Puff's coming to the elevator, and he's with his bodyguard, and this is a new thing back then with bodyguards. And I remember he gets on the elevator with me, and he goes, "Yo, man, I don't like that beat that you..." Because I had dropped the beat off earlier that day, and then they had to go back when they said the plaques came. And he was like, "I don't like that beat that you did, man. You got to do another one." And I was like, "All right." And he's like, "I need like a tunnel banger." I was like, "That is a tunnel banger." And he was like, "No, it's not." And I was like, "Yes, it is." And at the time, I was just like, "Yo, I think Puff's trying to play me because he got the bodyguard. And I'm by myself, and and we've always respected Puff, but I just felt like he was trying to play me in front of the big dude." Yeah. But at the end of the day, his opinion is his opinion, mine is mine. And I was like, "All right, I'll change it. And, no problem. It's all good." And now, cause I said, "Has Big heard?" He said, "No, I'm gonna let him hear it, but start working on another one." Cool. Next thing you know, Big called and said, "Can you come in tonight?" I was like, "Well, I ain't ready yet. I got to work on another one." He said, "No, I want to do the one that you left earlier." I said, "The one Puff don't like?" He said, "Man, fuck that. I want that." He said, "Yeah, that one." I was like, he said, "I got to say," he said, "I got to get your man, though." I said, "Do what you got to do." All right, cool. So my whole team was like, "Yo."
So he went to D&D? Or
no, he had just had the car accident with C's. So they were like, "You got to come to Daddy's house." And I was like, "I don't know if I want to do that." Because I'm thinking street, but how everybody's thinking. I was like, "All right, I'll go there," because he was in a wheelchair and he was on a walker. So he had to be, when he rhymed, he could sit in a wheelchair so he could spit his verses. So I was like, "I'll go." But all my guys like, "Nah, we going with you because something might go down." I'm like, "Nah. First of all, why would he work with me if they're gonna move on me? Number one, and then on top of that, if that's what they're expecting, then let's not let that be the case. Let me go by myself. And if something happens and if I come back all messed up, then we just take it from there." But I was like, I don't think that's going to be the case. And then they were deep that day, but I was there to do my work. I stayed in that mode, and the record got done. And one thing I like about what Puff said is, he said, "At least J. Rue was man enough to say my name." He said, "A lot of other people have been saying little subliminals or they feel the same way, but J. Rue said my name with no fear, and I respect that." And I like that about Puff too. He respected that on our end.
But you try to censor some of Big's lines though on it?
What's that?
You try to censor some of Big's lines on it?
It was just when he did it, at first I was just like, because I got to analyze it like, well, shit, he's talking to me. And
I'm surprised you wrong with them.
But at the same time, he said, "Hey," and not only that, when we did one day, Big's name wasn't named in it. I kept telling him, we're not afraid to say your name. If we felt like you had to be mentioning it too, we're gonna mention it. So it's like that didn't happen. But he said, "Yeah," but he said hip hop had a Versace suit on. Yeah, because during that time, that was the new wardrobe of almost everybody in hip hop was wearing Versace. So a lot of times y'all, not Big per se, but just a lot of artists that were anti that or anti-gay at that time were saying homo this, homo that, man, fuck homos, but you're wearing Versace. So it's like you can't be against it, but then wear a gay man's clothes, so it's got to be one or the other, or wear something else, and so I always just felt like that was hypocritical to do that. And then on top of that, Versace was being worn by way more people before rappers were doing it. So I was like, if you feel like you're the one that we're saying has a Versace suit on, that's just your own paranoia. We are saying this is the look of how we see hip hop, and we don't like it. You know what I'm saying? And not the gay part. That part's fine. We don't like the fact that this is the new image, and that ain't sneakers and jeans, and your hat broke down anymore. It's like what happened to our look and our uniform. There's nothing wrong with dressing fly. Yeah. I wear suits and stuff like that. I like designer clothes, but
even Puff grew to diss the shiny suit later.
Yeah.
On.
so with that, we're just talking about the way we viewed it, and of course, the whole Death Row thing. At the Source Awards, we were there at the Source Awards, so we were, and I was cool with Suge. Me and Suge Knight were really good friends and really cool, still are. Yeah. So when he said what he said on the stage, I remember, man, that was a televised event, and they were going. And I remember when he said "Come to Death Row" and went back to his seat, the whole building was like boo, dude. It was loud, loud. And
I think they wanted Smith and Wesson to win over Outkast. That's why Outkast got booed, right? Because the heavy New York crowd, right?
I'm not sure.
It was one of those kind of groups.
And honestly,
it was a New York crowd.
Well, Preem remember that shit.
But it was New. Everybody started going New York. It was. I mean, the whole building. We were like, yo, something's about to go down. So like that, you could just feel it. Yeah. And then when nothing happened, again, we were younger and we were a little more ignorant at that time. We felt like, yo, drama need to pop off and all that stuff. Yeah. I don't think like that now, but we was like, yo, drama needs to pop off, and no one did anything. So that's why we said, yo. I remember when we did the record. One of my guys was like, I know y'all ain't putting that out there. Y'all just bugging out, right? I was like,
the One Day record?
Yeah, I was like, no, we're putting this out. And he's like, dude, like, this is going to spark some mess. And I was like, all right. Again, this is my younger days, we didn't care.
But do you think Kicking the Door Big got him back the way,
it was brief to the point, and then third verse, I feel like he got at Nas and the Ghost and all them because of the little skit about saying that he bit off the cover with the young kid's face and all that stuff. But Big's so ill with the lyrics, you can't front on him, man. Like. Yeah. Woo, he said, why try to throw bleach in your eye? And he said, now you're brailing it. Like, that bleach hurt, man. Like, and it's on my record. So I'm like, so it's a plus and a minus, but we're going to go with the plus.
You mentioned like Puff said something about the tunnel. For you, did the tunnel serve as like a litmus test for you and your records?
Because a lot of them were banging then, like that was a 90s era. This was before DMX and all of them were starting to run the show and the whole Rough Riders. This was... or a little bit before, it was us. It was Gangstar, The Tribe, Check the Rhyme, all them type of records was popping, like, and you don't look at Tribe as a hardcore group, but their records were raw. You couldn't front on Check the Rhyme, you couldn't front on Butter and that whole album. I mean, Low End Theory.
Are you a Low End Theory person or Midnight Marauders?
If I really had to choose, even though Midnight Marauders is just iller, Low End Theory set a new bar of how your records need to sound, mixed, thumping, just everything. It was Low End Theory.
Phife caught a body on that album.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Phife, man. Yeah. And then we were all in the same clubs together. We were all in the same spots. We were all the ones that was hot and the girls were going with. That's why we used to always be like, damn, all these dudes be locking up with these girls now. We've been had them. Like, all of them, we had them all already. And they're not even bragging, but we had them all already. It was like, oh, we had her.
Bring it back to D&D.
Yeah, we had her. A lot of these guys that wife these girls now, we would never be wifing them. Never.
Dark.
Never. I'm telling you, man. We were beasting.
Oh my
God. We were beasting them. Prodigy, Havoc, all of them. We were beasts back then, man. Yeah, they were little young kids.
RP Prodigy, man. I mean, people know the first album you remixed Peer Pressure and stuff.
Thanks a lot.
You said you got mad Prodigy memories.
Yeah,
they come to mind.
Yeah. The illest one was the Prodigy and Havoc when we were at the Gavin, and I think it was Atlanta, and no, it was Jack the Rapper, and there was Prodigy and Havoc from the South Central Cartel. They were big, tall.
Oh yeah, the other Havoc and Prodigy.
And Prodigy and Havoc were walking through with their little cognac shirts, shirts off, and just diddy bopping, and they were like, yo, when we see them other Prodigy and Havoc niggas, we step into them, and they're so little, and these guys are big, and I think they were gangbangers from the West Coast, and you know, you see them looking up at them going, yo, though, you stole our motherfucking name. And they were like, fuck you, little nigga, fuck you. And, you know, and I had to break all them up. And I was like, listen, I separated everybody and said, listen, y'all's handle is Prodigy and Havoc, but y'all's group name is Mobb Deep and yours is South Central Cartel. So technically, no one's biting nobody.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, you're right. And it was like, all right, it's all good. Next thing you know, we were all partying together. All of us, probably the South Central Cartel,
like,
Mobb
beat
Deep.
it.
And we ended up being boys. I remember Harry Fobbs. You remember Harry Fobbs?
Yeah, of course.
Harry.
Big dude, right?
Yeah,
Big dude,
yeah. We were all into the gang culture because we were going to LA a lot and learning it because we didn't really understand it until we met MC8 and Dub C and all of them, and they schooled us to that. And we went to their hood and see lowriders and other Crips. So we didn't really know. I didn't know no Bloods till I met Quick. You know what I'm saying? Because he toured with us with EPMD and Father MC and Chubb Rock and Gangstar. So that's when he's like the first Blood rapper I ever met. All I knew was Crips. So at that time, it was just a bug out because I remember the riots had just happened with Rodney King, and I remember Harry had on a shirt with a red and a blue stripes going across where they touched. And rest in peace of my man, Crazy Tunes, Dub C's brother, man. That's my heart, man.
Just passed away this year.
And he go, cuz, why you got all that dead on that shirt? And Harry goes, it's a truce. And he going on. He goes, not in my hood. And it was just funny. I'll never forget that day that he said that, like, not in my hood. He said, it's still on and popping.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, so we learned all of the gang culture from all of them, you know. Wow. Same thing, like I said, with 8, same thing. That's why we've been so cool for so long. We really were going to their neighborhoods, and they were really coming to ours.
One of the records I also wanted to touch on, before I forget, is So Ghetto. It's a Jay-Z record on Volume 3. How was that session like in that process, putting that together?
That was easy because me and him weren't really speaking at the time, and we saw each other at a Janet Jackson concert, and I had just got through working with Janet on a remix for what was it, Together Again, and I saw Jay there, and we kicked, and he's like, "Yo, just a little." We just had a little problem. But you
just did the record on Volume 2, though. The Hand It Down.
Yeah, but then that was a nice gap between Hard Knock Life and Volume 3. It was because he did the tour, Hard Knock Life tour, so it was way further later.
Right.
And we talked, we ironed everything out, and he said, "Yo, let's get one in." And I said, "Just meet me at D&D," and he came. And I remember all I had was the doom 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 doom. And he was like, "Yo, I love that intro." He said, "Well, what's the beat sound like?" And I said, "Bam." I didn't have it attached yet. And then he heard that, and he was like, "Yo, I literally remember." He said, "I'll be back in an hour." He said, "Put down the cassette." An hour later, he came back, cut the vocals, and then he went to do Irving Plaza that same night.
Wow.
And then right after Irving Plaza, the drama jumped off with over at the other spot.
Really?
Yeah.
The same night?
Same night.
Wow.
Yep. So that was a memorable moment.
But D&D was the whole foundation of the Reasonable Doubt album. Like, besides the production you had on there, right? He did a lot of that record there.
Which one?
Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
His first album.
A lot of it, not the whole thing, but a lot of it was done there, yeah.
So what was that? What was your take on how he was putting that album together? Because we now look at that album as one of the greatest albums. Like, did you feel that energy? Did you realize what he was doing?
Yeah, he was so focused, man. I mean, he always knew what he wanted. Always, still now. You know, Jay know what he wants. You know, he's one of the greatest ever to put it all together. He knows what he's doing. That's why his success is supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to have Beyonce. He's supposed to be popping off like he's doing with TIDAL and all that. He totally has always followed that map of making, and that's why he deserves everything he's been getting.
What about The Evils, man?
That was the first one that he wanted me to do. He did the rhyme over the phone, told me everything, told me which records to scratch, and I came down and just made it happen.
The Prodigy and wow.
Yep. Even from all the way to I Can't Die, everything.
Wow.
Yep.
I always want to know too. This is a random question. Back to our friend KRS-One when he put out MCs that act like they don't know. Yeah. Were you ever mad or when Mona Lisa flipped it for her record?
Oh, nah. When other people use it, nothing's gonna beat the original.
Okay.
Nothing will ever beat the original. You know, even SWV used Crack Commandments for the remix of anything.
Right.
I ain't trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
As long as the royalty
and they cleared it, yeah.
But taking it back to Gangstar, so you, like we said, the long journey to be successful, you get that success, and the Owners album, I guess shortly after that, you guys begin to separate. Like, how did it get to a real separation?
Really, honestly, you talking about where we weren't really speaking to each other? Really, after the Owners, when he hooked up with the other guy.
Solo.
Yeah.
And then that just got ugly, right? Like
it just got weird, period. I mean, come on, to be with Guru that many years, that much success. And then on top of that, even when I was producing that many artists and being successful as Premier, the producer, he had 3 houses. He had 5 cars. It wasn't like he's struggling all in the poorhouse and I'm just getting mad money and putting it to my ear. and all he has is $1 that he can, just rub across his nose like that. Like he had money and successful tours and we'd go over his house, swim in his pool. And he lived near Vanilla Ice. He had the Miami house. That's when we met the whole Zopound, and that's how we got cool with them. This is way back. It was like 92, 93. It was cool. That's how we met Zopound and all them, because I'd come to Miami, and he's like, yo, this is Zopound. They real dudes, and they hold the block down in Miami, and we go hang out at his beach house, so he wasn't, I saw, I ain't gonna say his name, but there's a guy that does his blog where he talks about the truth behind certain artists, and it's on YouTube, and I'm sitting there I'm like, you weren't there, number one. And then on top of that, again, even when we were on hiatus, not doing nothing, we hanging out at each other's houses. When Guru flipped was mainly when he was under his alcohol spell. And then not only that, even if I never told a story about Guru's alcoholism, everybody's got a Guru story. I'm sure you do.
He would just fall a lot sometimes.
Yeah. So there's people I still see right now, like, oh man, I hung out with Guru. We had a good time, man. He was drunk, and man, he started flipping on this dude, and then so like that was always a normal way. It's almost like without even to tell the story, it's like, hey, we've been through a billion of them, so it's like no big deal.
But see, that's the thing. It seemed like you kept it, like, even though you guys were on the same page for a long time, you kept it low key. It wasn't.
Yeah, we fist fights and bloody nose cuts in our head.
Wow.
These 2 bite marks from him putting his teeth in my hand. You see that? That's his teeth
just
marks.
Watching Guru Preemo fight.
That's his
crazy.
teeth marks.
Damn.
Yeah. And now I'm glad I got him. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It's sentimental now.
Right.
But like that's a normal day at our house. I mean, dude, shooting in front of our house, everything was like fuck you, pop, pop, pop. Like that type of stuff was going on in front of.
We don't do that.
That's crazy.
We're not really close.
Yeah,
like that.
Y'all gotta shoot each other.
We gotta shoot each other, right?
Dude, it was that crazy. I mean, and then we even have the people to prove it. Like we used to hang out with Out Loud from Blase, because he even says it in Soliloquy of Chaos. Yeah. He says Out Loud pulls up because we used to call him just Loud. So he's like, yo, Loud, because his family had a used car lot, so he'd always pull up in just different cars all the time. But they always had a banging system. He'd always be blasting some dope hip hop anytime we had a show. And as soon as we got a show, everybody knows the meeting place. Meet us on 374 Washington. Cars line up one by one. Everybody, we drinking and just smoking. And next thing you know, we all caravan to the gig and just have a blast. And then after that, it's like, y'all want to have an after party at our house? Back to it's like a frat house line. Told you, our house was, RZA's been there, Jizz's been there, Easy Mo B's been there when he was rapping his Fundamental. Shout out to all of them. They'll tell you, Cypress Hill, before they even dropped an album, our house was wild.
But then it got ugly with Solo sort of isolating him, right? From you, from the family.
None of us understood that. None of us, because Guru is a headstrong guy that'll tell you to fuck off, and it's his way or the highway. So when he started to distance himself and go left, I mean, on one level, we were just like, hey, man, if that's how you're going to be, that's how you're going to be. But we figured it was just like a temporary thing. Then it just got to where he was non-existent. And then the crazy thing is, we know how he is. We know he loves to go out. Like, going out is his thing. Yeah. There's somebody's always gonna say, "Oh yeah, I saw Guru at the thing." Oh, yeah, he's always at the bar. Always at the bar.
You see him at the bar. He'd be at a random event.
Dad always bragging about a chick he got. He'd be like, "Yo, It's almost like you got a new coat, but it's got something inside of it where you open it. That's good. He'll go.
What's the guy? Good Times,
Lenny?
Yeah,
like Lenny. Yeah, like Lenny. And he got the watches. That's how he is with his girls. He'll be like, yo, look what I got. It's almost like she's tucked inside the coat.
Right.
That's something I'm used to and my whole crew. So even that wasn't happening no more. Where we're just like, what the hell, man? And then you'd have certain people in my crew that were like, yo, you should go talk to him. And I'm like, I will if I can find him. We didn't even know where he was living or nothing. You know, we had no clue where he was at. And I mean, I remember you were there after I saw him in the hospital when you came to my radio show.
Yeah.
So again, that's my first time seeing him in 9 years. From was it 9 years? Yeah, 2003 to 2011 he passed. Yeah, because he passed 7 years ago. So yeah, so during that gap, we would see stuff on YouTube with him doing his tours with Jazz Mataz tours, and I know Doo-Wop was his DJ because Tony Touch was supposed to do it, and Fat Gary got him hooked up with Doo-Wop, so he needed a steady DJ, and Tony Touch had a big schedule. But yeah, if it wasn't for seeing YouTube shows and seeing what he was currently doing, or hearing promoters overseas that were telling us all these horror stories, I'm like, and every horror story, it was almost like, you ain't even got to tell us because it's going to be the same one that we heard from this one and this one and this one and this one and this one, and without us even being around. So it was as strange as it was to the promoters and all the people that love Guru, it was strange to us too equally. So we were just like, yo, I can't tell a grown man what to do as far as get back with us and let's do our thing. But I know whenever it happens, if it does, I'm here and I'm ready. He can say, yo, let's go back in that right now. You always
said that. That was
anytime. I mean, come on, man. We both built each other up and blew each other up. You know, I thank him for even giving me the opportunity to be in the group. But one thing I would, same thing with that other blog guy, talking about I was giving beats away. I was like, I've always made the beat, so how could I give it away if I'm sitting there making it and then we record it? I'm known for doing it while you sit there and wait. And I never had 20 joints and say, you know what, I'm gonna give this one to Jay and Nas, and I know it was a Gangstar beat, but I'm gonna give it to them. Yeah. Nah, no need. And then on top of that, I'm in Gangstar. You think I don't want to look hot when we do our shit? I want to have bangers too, and we did. All of our singles did well. The first one, the second one, and the third one. They usually give you 3 per album, and everyone did well. So I never understood somebody that wasn't in our circle being able to speak on us because like I said, if you weren't in that frat house era of our life and our career, you was never down. And a lot of people missed that chapter. That chapter was crazy. Right.
Yeah. How tough was it for you to not be able to rectify it and then finding out he passed away?
I feel like I rectified it because I got to see him in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Even though he looked very, very bad, and the way I saw him, you heard me describe it. And 2 of my homies went in there before me to make sure the coast was clear for me to sneak in. So for me to sneak in, it was a process, that I had to go through it. It just happened to work. And even when the nurse saw me and said, hey, you can't go in there, I was like, look, and I had the Moment of Truth CD and I had my Gangstar shirt. I said, look, that's us. And I was like, all I need is just a few minutes and I'll leave. And she was like, go. And she let me go. She came in there and was like, yo, that's enough time. But I jimmied myself in there. It was a cool little trick, but I got up in there. And I felt like I talked to Dr. Dre about that. I was like, yo, that thing with Eazy-E, I swear, the Guru one with me and him was the same way. Same way.
Visiting Easy now. Dre visiting Easy now.
Same way. I talked to Dre about that at his house when we were working on the Compton soundtrack. We had some great conversations just about stuff that, from back in those days. And he was like, yeah, that's how it was. And same thing with me. Wow. But watching them lay there with the respirator, breathing for him and all that stuff. And, you can't even wrap your head around it because it's like you could tell it's like the last time I'm going to see him. Even though he lived maybe 3 weeks more before he passed, but still.
You knew he was in bed.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Right. He wasn't there.
But it seems like affairs are in order better now, right? And
And
where's the Solar guy? I feel like he's disappeared.
I have no clue. But we figure now that we got the estate back to where it's being handled by his son's mother and his son. Shout out to KC. He's 17 now. He's going to nice schools. We started Gangstar Enterprises, so anything that I sell Gangstar-wise, with the site and everything on PremierWasHere.com, we automatically send 50%. It don't even come to us; it goes straight into the estate, and they're doing fine. The money's coming in, and it's just a beautiful thing to see them still be able to eat off of his legacy. So all is well.
I want to talk about a new chapter you've kind of embarked on with this BET Cyphers. You've been like the designated DJ for for a while now, and you see a lot of these newcomers coming up. What are your thoughts about that? How did that even come about? And
Jesse Collins and I are longtime friends through a friend of his who we share a studio together. So I met Jesse through him, and we just got really, really cool. And then from there, when he started doing all the stuff with John Cossette, who passed away, but John Cossette's father used to do all the Grammys. So as his father got older, John took over. John hired Jesse because the BET Awards always felt like, they don't have the same polished look. It always looked cheap or whatever. They wanted to have a nice polished look like everybody else. So Jesse and John made it glow better. And you see the BET Awards, the Hip Hop Awards are separate.
Right.
But even the BET Awards looks a lot more together to watch. Right. Yeah, so Jesse brought me the idea and said, yo, would you be down to do these things and call it a cypher? And it was just two of them. It was one with Remy Ma. This is right when she had left Terror Squad back at that time before she got back with Fat Joe, now. But it was her, Rhyme Fest, I know it's Papoose, Styles P, Lupe Fiasco, maybe one other person, but it was only two. That was like 2008. And then
it's taken off.
The following year, they said, let's do it again, but we're going to do 3. Okay. But it was still more reputable MCs. Then the year after that, it was still reputable MCs. Then started to drift. I'll even say the first 4 years, because I remember Jules Santana did Jadakiss, and then it started to get a little bit of good ones and the bad ones where I felt like, but one thing I do like is Jesse will say, well, what do you think of this person? What do you think of that person? Even if I'm against it, it got to a point where it had to be the ones that are more popular on radio, and that's cool. He said, always keep it breakbeat style, which that's why I always pick breaks. That I said, so he always hits me, which one we going to use this year? And I'll just think of one that I think is easier to flow to. This is actually the first year this year that I took You're a Customer, because that's not really a breakbeat. That's a hip-hop classic.
And Puffy abused that so much.
But just that bum-bum, who cannot rhyme to that? I don't care if you do trap. I don't care if you do disco. You got to be able to rhyme to that. That simple track, as thorough, as simple as it is, so one of the most hardest, dope tracks to spit verses to. So, but I'm glad they let me always pick the beat. And, there's certain MCs that'll be like, yo, can you not scratch when I'm rapping? Because I like to still be going, I still like to go while they're rapping, going, pop, stuff like that.
It shows off their rhythm.
And they're like that. They always turn around, something. So.
Which ones stand out to you? Which sessions?
Definitely the first 4 years. One of the biggest standouts was KRS, because when he did it, Nike had sponsored that particular one. Not only that, for continuity, we always shoot close up, full body, side view, so we got to do it 2 or 3 takes so that they can edit it all together and to get, like I said, a full body one close up, some from the side, some from this side, some from the back. So they were like, Karis, can you stick to doing the rhyme that you did before? And he goes, I will not do the same rhyme every time. I will do a different rhyme every time. And then, what are you going to say to Chris? So every time he did a different verse. So it's like, whatever you're getting is all you're getting.
I think the good music when they had you in a suit too.
That was Kanye's idea. Right? I was like, no, I ain't wearing no fucking suit.
This is the Rosewood era.
Yeah, and I was like, tell Kanye, hell no. And then they're like, yeah, you want to holler at you? And I'm like, I'll do it. You know, it's Ye, man. Like, how you gonna tell Ye no? He's such a cool dude, man. I've known him from. I remember the day he told me that he was gonna blow up as a rapper. Yeah, he told me. Yeah, we were on tour with it was Gangstar, Floetry. This was the first time Floetry started hitting the scene. With Marsha, and it was Floetry, Gangstar, Talib Kweli, and then Common was the headline. It was the Electric Circus tour. And halfway through the tour, Kanye comes on tour with us, and we're like, why is Kanye out here with you, Kweli? He said, because he's the first one to ever give me a hit with Get By, and he didn't charge me for it. He gave it to me for free, and it's my first hit. And I was like, that's dope. So he said, so I'm giving him some exposure. One day we're backstage, it's all lamping, everybody. The show is over. We're all just kicking it, and Kanye was like, "Yo, Premier, I'm gonna start rapping." And he said, "I'm gonna start rapping, and I have three. He said I have a trilogy coming out. The first one's called College Dropout, and it's gonna go double platinum." And I'm looking at him like, "Damn, you that confident? You gonna go double platinum?" He goes, "Yes," and he goes, "And the next one's gonna be called Late Registration, and then the other one's gonna be called Graduation." He told me this back then.
Wow.
And we didn't. This is like 2002 because the owners came out in 2003. We were just kind of maybe a quarter into recording it, so we were far from finishing. And then, boom, he was like, "Yeah, that's how it's gonna go down." And then, boom, he dropped College Dropout, and that shit went double platinum. I was like, this dude. I mean, he said it and he did it.
Called the shot.
He called, yeah. I give it up for him, and you know, he definitely his plan really came to fruition.
You never had desires to like rap?
Nah, I do my little
breaking the rules hook, right? MOP.
I was bullied into that. Fame was like, "Yo, I just want you to do this hook." I was like, "I don't want to do no hook, man. I can't rap." He goes, "Yo, you coming down and do this hook?" And what you gonna say? Tell MOP no? I don't want to get mashed out. I'm like, I'm on my way, man. And he did it for me and said, "This is what I want you to say." And I went and did it, and he coached me through it and all that.
Ghetto music.
Yeah, he coached me through it. So yeah, that Fame wrote it, and he coached me through that.
That's all you needed.
Another nerd question. I kind of got a hip to this guy because of your production. Devin the Doobie Ashtray. Was that on some Texas shit that you guys hooked up?
Nah, he couldn't clear. Well, I knew him from way back. I knew him, Jugmug, and Rob, because they were called Our Squad. And Carlos Garza, who was down with them, is really the reason why I got my demo to New York to get heard by Gangstar, because Carlos and I worked at a record store together called Sound Waves. It's like the hood store in Houston. It's directly across the street from the Astrodome, and it was also across the street from a club called the Rhinestone Wrangler. That was our tunnel back then in the 80s. And the tunnel was the spot every weekend to go. But Sound Waves, where we were, right down South Main and Merworth, that's where all the hood comes to buy records, because every weekend all the little local bars with the gold teeth and all that stuff, the old timers with the Jerry curls and the pimps and players, they be DJing their own parties, and they know we have every record. I had such a great knowledge of music. I got the job because of Carlos. It happened because he used to see me sneaking to change the prices on the 12 inches. And even though he caught me, I still denied it. Like, man, whatever. If it says $1, then I'm paying $1. He said, nah, I'm the one that prices them. I don't know why it says $1, but that's incorrect. And I would find little other stickers and then and they were easy to peel off. Right. It was like really easy to peel off. I just peeled it off and put the $1.99. So I could buy like 20 records instead of 3, but the money was tight. We worked it out, and then after that I started coming in there, and we would always talk about music, and I was like, man, I'd sure like to work here, and he got me a job. So that's when Billboard just started to do the rap category in Billboard. It was a new thing to have a rap chart. So when that happened, for Houston's region, Carlos became the Billboard reporter. So he, when all the independent labels used to call to get charted, when they called Carlos, he met Stu Fine. He's saying, I'm trying to get the Gangstar or Latif charted or Chill Rob G. And he said, man, I got this guy that's coming to New York this summer. He is the shit, and his scratches, and that's how that trickled down into me meeting Stu. And then from there, Guru heard the demo, and then once Guru heard it, it moved on. I was in another group at the time. I was in a group with my MCs and everything. And we had our own Flavor Flav. His name was Styly T. from Dallas, and we had Sugar Pop from Dallas. Sugar Pop and Top Ski, who's from Boston, and that was my MC. And they always call me Wax. Yo, Wax. And I have all my demos, man. I found all my demo tapes and everything. So,
but with that record with Devin, was it seamless too?
I drift a lot when you ask questions. With Devin, they couldn't clear the sample of the original. So they wanted to know if I could remix it. So that's really a remix. And so they sent me the song. And being that me and Devin were already friends from way back, I just said, yo, send it to me. And I just played some keyboards on it. And they like that drive slow shit and everything. And everything, because Lean been around for years. I know it's gotten way out of hand with the way it's treated now. Right. But that shit was way back. So when I sent it to him, he liked it. And Doobie Ashtray was born, but it was just because they couldn't clear the sample.
Right. I love those slow kind of records, like go back to Nas, Second Childhood. Like
I love Second Childhood. Some people was like,
what?
I love him. I agree with you. Fuck him. Second Childhood was dope, man. I remember I was on my way to a party with DJ Riz. And I was in a hurry to get out, and I was like, I promise now I'll just get this beat done first. So Riz, by the time you get here, I'm going to have it tapped out. And I found that Peebo Bryce and Roberta Flack sample. I cleared it. So you didn't like the so I can say Roberta Flack too because I cleared it. And I just heard that groove. I was like, yo, it's slow, but Nas can mess with this. And I didn't have the scratches or nothing, just the beat. And I sent it to him, and he was like, yo, I'm coming in tomorrow. And he laid it the next day. And then I did the scratches.
Is it one of those things, it's like a spidey sense? You can hear a record 1,000 times, but all of a sudden you hear a part of the record that you want to sample? Or?
Yeah. Sometimes I call it rush sampling, where if I'm in the mood to go out, I just hurry. And something just does like that, and then I'll run my drum machine for a second just to get I kind of know what tempo I already want it to be. All that's pre-programmed in my head. If I know it should be in the 90 area, 92, 93, 95, I'll let it just go boom, just start playing and start kind of just letting it go. And if it sounds like it's going, chop it, boom, put it in, tap it in, and then if it's until it bounces, we got something.
It makes me think they always talk about writers have writer's block. The producers have that blockage. Like you have all these records and
I've
sounds,
had lots
but you can't
of producers
put it
block. Yeah, really? This time I'm just like, I'm going home, man.
But you just went record shopping. You got all these new sounds,
and nothing will be on there. Wow. See, I dig differently. I have like about 5 different ways I dig. I do one called blind digging, where I just go in and I just go. And if
that's the whole Masterpill does a show.
And if it's something I don't have, I take it. Sometimes I just do my initials. I'm Christopher Martin, so I'll just do C's and M's. And if my son Jalen, I might do Jalen and S, for his middle name. Next time I might say, I'm taking 3 out of every alphabet, just any 3. Out of A, B, C, D.
This is all vinyl too, right?
Yeah. And that's another way. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm only going to jazz. Sometimes I'm only going to soundtracks. Sometimes I'm only going to sound libraries. And that way, out of that batch, you always kind of have a different approach of something coming, and then that's where it's like another Preem joint. And, that's just not, it's going to be my sound, but still, it's my sound, but it's still they all got their own little weird ways of being another good one that I did, So, but the same thing with the Ferg record. I was like, yo, it's gonna work. Yeah.
You got something for this new Nas album whenever it's done?
We worked on a couple. Man, probably like 3 months ago, but it was just messing around at the Masterpill studio and set up my machine there and did a couple joints, and then he went on tour. So, and then he's been on another tour, and then he did the Lauren tour. So I haven't talked to him, and we text each other, yo, still want to get something else in. So it's always we check on each other and text each other and stuff like that, but not to the degree of where we got any vocals or anything cut.
Is there anybody you do want to work with? You work with all the greats.
I want to work with DMX. I want to work with Ghostface.
Oh man.
I want to work with Mary J. Blige. I want to do her whole album. If she lets me do her whole album, it'll be a classic, hands down. It'll be a classic. Jill Scott, I can make a classic. Erykah Badu, I can make a classic, but they gotta let me do it. I will make a classic. There's certain artists that I know how to make a classic album. They just gotta let me do it.
We gotta set this up.
Yeah, Mary, man, Mary. I want a Mary album so bad.
Mary gotta holler at
me. We gotta make it happen. I want executive producer credit.
I know what she's gonna do. It's like I know what she's gonna do. You know, me and Pete Rock supposed to be doing De La Soul's next album. Yeah, just the two of us. So things are being worked out, but that'll be fun. Because that's competition. I know Pete even played a couple these ain't even my real ones. And he played, he texted me and Paz and Dave, and I'm like, you asshole. They're funky. Because it's daylight. You know,
right.
You know what comes with that.
Right.
Yeah, it's just certain artists like that, you just know what comes with that. I like to do a whole Jay-Z album.
Word. We will all like to do a whole Jay-Z.
Yeah, let me get my 444. Come on, man. I was supposed to, I've done it in interviews before. I was supposed to do the Black Album.
Yeah. One of his original concept, right?
Yeah. He approached me.
And that was before Dynasty. He first had the idea, right?
Yeah, and then he kind of put it on the shelf. And then Dynasty, even when I saw his list of his order, and I was like, Dynasty needs to go up. And Dynasty was dope. And I'm talking from a DJ. I play records. You know, I choose, I taste make. That album was amazing. Yeah. I love Dynasty, and he had it kind of low on the list. I was like, damn, man. But hey, he likes what he likes. I like what I like. But Dynasty should have been way up at the top. That was a banging album.
Right.
I like Dynasty better than Black Album.
Ooh, the Dynasty intro is hard, but over the Black Album,
I like what I like. Yeah. I like what I like, and I know my ears ain't fucked up.
Legend talk.
I know when a record's right, man. You know, it's not even a bragging thing. It's just I always quote Jaco Pastorius, the bass player. God bless him. He said, "It ain't bragging if you can back it up."
Yeah, there you go.
I can back it up. Don't
Before
put me in
go, you gonna back it up with this Prime 2, man?
Yeah, Prime 2 is done. We're done. Shout to Royce 5'9". It's crazy. Shout to Ant-Man Wonder. That's the next chapter. So, you know, Adrian.
Using that person's music.
Yeah. Prime is where you only take one person's catalog of music and I flip it Preem style. So Adrian Young is really the reason why it happened, period. So shout to him. So and Mike Heron, that was their idea to do it. And you know, I'm not used to just taking one person's library and doing
picking records randomly.
Yeah, I'm used to digging. So I didn't dig for not even a horn. Everything has to come from that source material. So with Adrian, the second time around, we just didn't have enough to really do another full album from the stuff that he had available. He gave me a few things, but it just wasn't enough. With the first one, I had like the Delphonics one he did, Black Dynamite, Sometimes in April. So it was enough, and he gave me just all the instrumentals, and I was like, "Oh, this is dope. I could take that part and make a beat out of it." So Ant-Man personally made new sounds for us that no one else had, because he said, because I know a lot of people have his stuff. I was like, you know, Royce instructed them, don't give us anything that anybody else already has in their folders or whatever. We want it to be where people are like, damn, where'd they get that part from?
Almost like digging.
Yeah, so he gave us a whole plethora of stuff, and I just pulled the ones I thought I could flip. And
then the first Prime, you didn't even know the guest that Royce was going to put on, right?
No, not this one either.
Really?
Yeah.
So he just
I know now, but I can't say. But
okay.
It's done now, so I know. But this is another good one, man. It's very, very. It's definitely another step, you know, into the next. It sounds like a Prime too.
Yeah, I feel like Royce. I mean, he's always been a nice MC, but I feel like he's even getting better.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like lyrically, like you even hear him
since he got sober, man. Because I when we did the first Prime, he was sober and he hadn't written anything in a while. And I was even worried because I know the alcoholic Royce, you know, from all the years before Slaughterhouse, and then when they started doing Slaughterhouse, the first Slaughterhouse, a lot of it was done at its headquarters studios, which was D&D.
Yeah.
And when I heard, you know, I know how he is when he drinks, so when I was just like, I wonder if he's gonna sound like with that fire, bark. Yeah. And I was in LA. Golden Globe was happening, so a lot of people in town, actors and stuff, and I was hanging out with Joaquin Phoenix because he's a fan of my music, and we met through a mutual friend of ours. Shout to Johnny Abrams. He was the actor. And remember the first Scary Movie?
I do remember.
Remember Scary Movie? He was the boyfriend of the girl that he always wanted to have sex, but she was like, no.
Right.
And then when he finally hit it, when he busted the nut, he shriveled up. He shriveled up and like it all came out on him when he blew the nut. And she
went to the ceiling.
Yep. So that's him. That's Johnny.
Okay.
Johnny and Joaquin are cool. And he's like, yo, Joaquin wants to meet you when you come out to LA. And I was like, word. I was like, I'd love to meet him too. And man, and even that, he was like, yo, man, when you did, this is Joaquin, like, yo, when you did I Chill, did you like, not Mass Appeal, not Dwick, album cuts. Right. And to where I knew he really knew. We had a great conversation. And
Nas with the I Just Want to Chill and Large Press too, right? That loop in there.
Yeah. And then from there, we're about to fly back to New York that morning, so I'm getting ready to go to bed. And him and Joaquin text me and go, yo, Diddy's having a Golden Globes after party. Yeah, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah. I know it's a Diddy party gonna be popping. I called my manager and my tour manager and said, yo, I'm going to this Diddy party. He said, well, we going too. And right when I'm getting ready to leave, Royce texted me and says, yo, I just wrote my first rap to that beat you sent me. Tell me if I'm back on track. I was like, I'll listen to it tomorrow. And then I was like, you know what? Let me listen to it before I go to this party. So I download it. It says that boom, 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 boom. Gather round. Witness the memoirs of 5'9". And the way he sounded, I was like, he's back. Just like that. I could just tell. And then he just started going, just another day of my reform. I was like, yo, he sounds like the Royce. I called him. I said, yo, you're back, man. You back. And I was like, I said, I'm going to call that one Prime. Because he kept saying in the hook.
Right.
Next day, he was like, yo, instead of putting out the album as DJ Premier and Royce 5'9", what if we call ourselves like a group? And I was like, what do you want to call it? He said, why don't we call it Prime? But instead of Prime, the P and the R capital for Premier and Royce. And the HYME encompasses rhyming, DJing, music. And I was like, cool, I like it. And then the guy that did the artwork for Bad Meets Evil artwork did the Prime logo. Right.
Does it bug you out to be in a rap group again?
Yeah. Because I said I didn't really want to do it after Guru passed. I said I'll just produce. The producing I want to do forever. Like rock, jazz, blues, don't matter. That's something I want to do. But being in a group, not without Guru. Guru, that's my partner. So it just was weird, but me and Royce got so many records that banged in our history together.
When Boom came out, I was on this film.
We've already been such like brothers. It was like I'll do it with Royce, and now we got Prime.
I feel like you got the weirdest fans, Preem. Like people just come up to you, like you said, homeboy Joaquin Phoenix, like who sticks out to you in your mind?
He's
like
friends with Derek Jeter.
Yeah, him. Well, Derek's my son. Yeah, well, that's family now because my son is his nephew. Right. So shout out to Jalen. I just don't post him and put him on social media and all that stuff.
Respectable.
Because just if I was if I wasn't Premier, I'd be doing.
It's weirdos out
here, but I just see the psycho stuff people write, and I'm just like, I'm not putting my son on there, so I keep him protected, But and the Jeter family is good. They're good people, good people. We get along so well.
But like Hollywood celebrity types or just random public figures that are Premier fans, like who comes up?
Joaquin Phoenix. Who else? I mean, even meeting Chris Long and Kyle Long and Adrian Brody, and when they see me, they don't say Premier, they say Preemo. Rip.
How did Preemo start? Like
Guru. But, I have a picture of Guru's son when he was 2 years old, and Guru says, I actually got it. I think in my phone, the picture. And Guru says, hey, Uncle Preemo, thanks for holding down my pops. Good luck on the next album. We were doing the Owners album. And the fact that he wrote that and he spelled it Preemo, that's why I spelled it that way. I'm like, if Guru's going to spell it that way, then that's the way I'm going to spell it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just found it. Because we're working on some things, and I'm looking for all my old footage, and I kept like all the videotapes and stuff that we ever had. So I'm going through old pictures and I'm finding mad stuff. And this new phone, and I just saw that picture, man, of get out of here. And I just saw it, and I took a snapshot of it, of that picture, and the fact, and it's good, the fact that he says thanks for holding down my pops. That's why I was like, for now on, if anybody says Preemo, this is the way I'm gonna write it. So,
and if someone approaches you and says Preemo, they're a real authentic fan.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, no one calls me Premier. Here you go. Look.
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, get that out of there.
Got that pulled up. What does it say, Elliot?
Happy holidays to Uncle Preemo. Thanks for holding down my pops. Good luck on the next album. Peace and love, KC.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, his name is Keith Kasim. So,
that's dope.
Yeah.
Wow. There you go, Uncle Preemo.
So Preemo, before we get out of here, man, what else should we expect, man, for 2017? What are you closing out with? How many projects you gonna get out this year?
Tory Wolf is already out. The MC8's already out. We're still doing, and the MC8, we're doing videos to the entire album. Yeah. Tory Wolf, pretty much same thing.
I love that Gia campaign you had.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, that was cool to even get people like a Dre or a Latifah.
LL.
And that's easy to get in a verse, And but even Dre was the last one I called, and he's such a high caliber artist and producer, and I remember when I told him about it, he's like, oh, yeah, for 8, hell yeah. He said, what do you need me to say? And as soon as I told him, same thing with Ice Cube. And as soon as I tell them, they're like, hang up the phone, I'll send it right now. It's not, I'll get to it later. They're like, hang up, man, in not even 5 minutes. Ding! And I look, and they already did it. I'm like, damn, all right. Where some people that is hard, that's easy to get to, it's like took them weeks, know. But that was dope to do that, because I was like, man, everybody knows 8 for Gia, like from the 90s. he got that on lock. But Tory Wolf's out, MC8's out, Prime is done. NYG's, then shout to Panchi and Shabino. I produced the whole album. It's called Hustlers Union Local NYG. It's so gutter. It's a New York.
Tuck in my chain.
Yeah. It's a really dope album. I'm excited about that because it just really sounds. A lot of people saying this is what New York sounds like. That's fine.
I'm not gonna stop till you really break the NYGs. You want to break them?
We're friends from. So it's more of it's friends getting an album put out with my production. Indeed. So it's not like they're not like artists signed to me in that way. They're my homies. And again, the first one, Welcome to Cheatham, came out in 2008, and Panchi really put that together. Mm-hmm. I just mixed it and threw my songs in, but he did that whole thing while we were on tour, put it together, and then I said, let me put it and make it tight and put my songs on it, and we got it. But this one is a full-length premiere album.
Dope.
Yeah. Cool. And a lot of, I want to work with Redman. He's doing Muddy Waters too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me and MC Ren spoke about doing something at Coachella 2 years ago. So, because everybody's been saying, yeah, he said y'all working. Come on, that's the villain. Hell yeah,
that they know Red.
Yeah, me and Apathy doing another joint, 4 Hours, which we did. They're from London. So I'm always doing my side project, just like singles. And me and Ferg gonna do another one.
Nice.
For his album. Yeah, because this one, he was like, I can't get that one from me. I'm like, that's mine. So yeah, we're gonna do one for his album too. So he's recording that right now.
Dope.
So and we're gonna
You're
keep
already
going.
a Hall of Fame living legend, Preem. Put
I
more
love
numbers
this,
up.
man. I'm not tired of it.
Top 10, top 5, Preem.
Preem.
Place.
They say top 3 of all time, but that part I don't even really pay attention to. I'm just like, I love what I do, man. It's still fun. It's still fun to compete.
You're still doing it.
I don't want to do the style that the young kids are doing because they got that on lock.
But you love Bad and Bougie, I heard you say.
Yeah, I love Migos.
That's Bad and Bougie.
That T-shirt.
Preemo and Migos.
T-shirt? Yeah, I like Migos. Hey, and offsetting them, holler at me. Yeah, me and Uzi Vert even hollered.
Right.
Yeah, we were supposed to get together and do something, but it just never happened. And even if we did it, I'm going to make sure it sounds acceptable to my audience and his and mainly my audience, because I don't want them going, damn, man, how could you do that and work with him? It's like, yo, I know how to make it work. And then not only that, me and Uzi Vert had a dope conversation. He's from Philly. He said, Preem, I'm from Philly. Everybody act like I don't know the era, and I come from Philly, and he's right. That's all he has to say. I'm from Philly.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, like that right there shuts a lot of people up.
Right.
Preem, I'm from Philly. So he cleared me up on shit. It was a great conversation. So shout out to Uzi Vert. You know, everybody like all the weird clothes. Prince wore weird clothes, and I love Prince.
Right.
And shit. Prince had his ass sticking out, and I was still going. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So get your lace leather gloves and eyeliner. I bump that shit.
Word up.
Yeah,
Preem, thanks for having us,
man.
Thanks for
Keep
having
going,
me,
baby.
Man. For sure.
Word up.
Legend.
All
Rap
right,
Radar Podcast.
Yeah.